Welcome to Winter Weigh In, a pleasure to be here as always. It's our final show of the winter season and we've got plenty to celebrate as we wrap up Winter Weigh In for 2026. Our first guest is going to be Lemmy Douglas on the show today, fresh off the back of a history-making double at Riccarton to round out Grand National Week. Not only him, but we're also going to be chatting to Matt Cartwright. He rode a double at Te Rapa and he's aboard some spring stars as they work their way towards some of the big targets. And we wrap up the show with a debate around Horse of the Year. Who should win it? And what better independent person to give us their feedback than Jayne Ivil? All of that coming your way on Winter Weigh In this week.
Mr. Fortress kicking from motion time. Graham John too much out late, 100 to go. The leader is Mr. Fortress from motion time. Mr. Fortress too good.
He's an interesting horse, but he's worth carrying on with, though, isn't he?
John had this horse well prepared for this race today. He's just got the horse peaking at the right time.
Sky Max, subtle image. Sky Max, subtle image. Subtle image. Subtle image over the top. Subtle image from last for the CD. Got up to win it.
Dusty's back in form. Dusty Road. Well, the trial on Tuesday worked. It turned him on. And Dusty Road turns up today to get the win well.
Pretty wrapped all right. He deserved it. And he hadn't had a lightweight like that for a long time. And that had a lot to do with it too, I think.
Astoria Brook finds the gap down the outside of Mira de Gento's letting down with one last burst. But the race favourite Astoria Brook will race away and Michael McNabb gets two.
Look, a relief to probably get her back in winning form. Always that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind, but she was dominant today and showed a really good turn of foot. So look, obviously a progressive mare, and yeah, it'd be great if we can get some black type for Brenton Cherry going forward.
Have a look at this. Little Thief's going to blow them away. You beauty, Little Thief. That's an enormous win.
Well done to the Myers team. They really do get their horses ready for this week.
Shawshank won't go away. Belzoni, Shawshank, stride for stride, neck and neck. He fought hard, Shawshank, and wins. Shawshank, that was a tough run. Lord Spencer and Brucey are stride for stride in the National. Lord Spencer and Brucey. Lord Spencer, jumping royalty, gets there in the end.
I can imagine Dad at home, he'll have tears. It means heaps.
It was an exciting week, wasn't it, around the country with not just the feature flat racing, but the feature jumps racing as well. And speaking of that, of course, we had the Grand National Hurdle and Grand National Steeple. We welcome back to Winter Weigh In Lemmy Douglas. Lemmy, you know when you get the phone call on a Monday morning to come on Winter Weigh In that you've done something right, and what a weekend it was for you.
Yeah, no, it was a very exciting weekend, and it still hasn't really sank in.
I can imagine that's the case. I guess we could start with that Grand National Steeple and Lord Spencer, because he's a horse that you've had such an association with. What was your sort of impression during the week as to how he'd come through the run the week before?
I went to see him at the start of the week and he was happy as. JJ's told me he was bouncing around all week, so the run didn't knock him at all. Yeah, we were very happy with how he came through.
What was the pre-chat like in the parade ring before you went out for the Grand National Steeple? What words of advice did JJ have for you?
No, I gave her advice. I told her to relax. It's pretty cruisy with our relationship with each other, so she just leaves it up to me and always says the same thing, don't let him fall out the back too far.
Talk to me about how the race unfolded. Were you sort of where you wanted to be in running the whole way?
No, well, I knew Billy was going to take off in front. Like, he's given his horse every chance, and I wanted to follow him, but I was hoping something else was going to go forward and get in front of me as well. I wanted to be sort of free back. But Spencer jumped out the gates, and I was looking around, and no one was coming, so Plan A went out and Plan B went out the window as well. So I had to just ride him exactly where he landed, and trying to get him to relax when he's got daylight is not an easy task.
Yeah, and you make a really good point there, because we just saw in a clip of that vision the way he gets his head on his chest, and I guess to the naked eye potentially he looks like he's nice and relaxed and just working along nice and comfortably, but from your perspective it sounds like he actually is really pulling your arms out.
Yeah, no, I was swinging off him. There was a lot of horse there. He's an awkward horse the way he does carry his head. Like, he bores down on the bit, so your arms feel absolutely wrecked by the end of it.
At what point did he sort of settle into his work and give you a bit of a breather?
Just before we were turning for home. Like a lot of the boys say that I give a running commentary of the race, like when I'm riding a horse. So I was literally screaming and pleading with him to just relax and take a deep breath.
And I guess the other thing with him is his jumping, because every jump he takes, he really just eats up so much ground, doesn't he? He's so sort of meticulous in the way that he clears those big fences.
Yeah, like the other day was probably some of the best jumping he's ever displayed. He didn't miss a beat at all. He just responded every time I asked, and oh yeah, he was just amazing.
When it came to the crunch and you sort of went head-to-head with Brucey, it looked like it could have gone either way for people sitting at home watching. It looked like a real tussle down the straight. Did you always have the confidence that you had him?
I should probably say yeah, but nah, I didn't until I got there. The whole way down the straight, I honestly didn't think I had enough left because he pulled so hard early. There was no sprint in his legs. Yeah, he's just grinding and grinding away, and I didn't think I was going to get there.
It must be incredible to be associated with a horse like him, because not only for what he's done this season, but the excitement of what's to come. It must be easy to jump out of bed in the morning when you know you've got a horse like him.
Yeah, nah, it is. Like I love jumping on his back, and he is great fun to ride. The other day he drove me crazy, but he knew what he was doing. He just really wanted to be there that week.
And I guess that leads to a conversation around JJ Rayner and your relationship with her. And it was evident to see for all of us at home the emotion that she showed post-race, how much it meant to her. Talk to us about her and the relationship.
Yeah, like jumping and that means everything to her. She absolutely loves doing it. She gets the best out of her horses, and I can't fault her at all. She's an amazing woman. Her whole family are. They've given me, the opportunity, and they have done for a good few years now. So yeah, I just love riding for her. It's so relaxed, and she takes all the pressure off you.
Lemmy, I heard in your post-race interview you said, I've worked really hard and I've waited a lifetime for this and for these opportunities, and I'm finally getting rewarded. Talk to me about that and how it has taken a lot of resilience and determination to get to where you are.
I mean, if you probably look at my first 100 jumps rides, I probably fell on about 70 of them. So yeah, I went through the rounds, broke a lot of bones, and I just, in my head, I never wanted to give up. As long as I was still walking, I was still going to be riding. So you see, yeah, my mentality was to just never give it up. Always, you're always going to get lucky eventually, and yeah, that's just what it was. It was, yeah, I was never going to stop doing it.
What do you think made the difference this season, or can you put your finger on maybe what's all come together this season?
Not really. I guess it's just I got a bit of luck. You ride a couple of winners on Spencer, and people think you're amazing, so they start putting you on other horses, and it just snowballs from there. But it's everything my riding. Like the Lord Spencer, he's taught me so much in what I am as a jumping rider. Like he helps you out so much.
Yeah, and I guess it gives you that momentum. From Lord Spencer, who you've got a great long association with, to Little Thief, who you pretty much know nothing about and just hopped on for the first time on Saturday. Talk to us about how you ended up with the ride aboard this horse.
Kevin rung me on Friday, and he said, did I want to win the national hurdles on Saturday? And I said, why am I going to be on quid? Is Kylan got off it? And he goes, no, you're on Little Thief, which made me scratch my head because I was the outsider in the field. But Kevin knows what he's doing, and he's the best at it.
He sure does. How do you sort of prepare for a race like that? You get a last-minute phone call and the call up to ride. What's the preparation like in trying to get some sort of profile on Little Thief?
The first thing I did was run Kylan. I mean, he's ridden it the most, and I asked him if it jumped good, and he sort of laughed at me and said, "You'll find out," because it is a very green jumper, but he's so aggressive and has the will to win. So I was happy to get on, and even the outsider on a Kevin Myers horse is always going to be a chance.
Yeah, talk to me about how he sort of was in running, because the way he skipped over the last and skipped away to the line, it was like he was there for fun.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Jason before the race, and he said, whatever you do, just leave him alone at his fences, because if you ask him for something, he's going to get it wrong. So all I had to do was sit quiet, which is exactly how I like to be as a jockey, to be patient. So I just got on him and said, look, it's just Lord Spencer, just ride it exactly like you would him.
Yeah, and that proved the winning ride. And just when he popped that last and he scooted away, you could see that little bit of turn of foot. He still had plenty in the tank, didn't he? He's got to be exciting heading forward too.
Yeah, like he is an absolute pocket rocket. He terrified me at the last. I'd love to get back on him because he was such a thrill ride.
And he looks like he enjoys it too. And do you think there's a good bit more maturing to come, obviously, with that jumping technique and things?
Yeah, 100%. He's got so much improvement left in him. Like his jumping he does hesitate at a few of them, but when they're right, they're beautiful. So once he figures that out and just gets that little bit more confident, he's going to be a really, really hard horse to beat.
Yeah, it looks that way, and in the right stable to make that progression as well. Lemmy, thank you so much for chatting to us again on Winter Weigh-In, a double on Saturday and a historic double at that. So congratulations, and hopefully this is the momentum for some bigger and better things in those feature jumps racings upcoming.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you ever so much for having me.
No doubt a weekend to remember for Lemmy Douglas, and some exciting times to come, I think, with two pretty progressive horses. We move on and focus our attention on Te Rapa, where we saw some premier flat racing and, of course, a couple of nice trials as well. Speaking of Te Rapa, let's get you to an interview with Matt Cartwright. Matt, great to welcome you to Winter Weigh-In, and off the back of a reasonable weekend.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was a great weekend. I had a few winners and obviously rode some nice horses.
Let's talk through those winners, and I guess we can start with He's a Sharp One, and just seems to have found another gear since getting up over ground. Tell us your impression of this horse.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely a horse what is going through the grades nicely. I think he keeps improving, so it's probably shocked me a little bit with how fast he's improved, but he's going in the right way, and he's definitely a horse what has ability. He was a little bit keen initially to the first corner, and then once he actually got cover, he drops his head and he just travels lovely. But he was obviously travelling really good, and he showed a nice turn of foot to get to the horses, and I thought he just probably wandered and just waited for him a little bit. But he's definitely got upside there for sure.
I guess the other horse that you were able to win aboard was Kahalui on that programme, and another horse that seems to have a little bit of upside. It was just a third start, wasn't it? But nice to get the maiden win.
Yeah, I feel like the horse has got a lot of upside. It was a great win. The horse was third up and fit, so I had to do a bit of work, but I was willing to do that because I thought he was fit, and I wanted to be on pace. He travelled lovely for me. He's still very raw, but I think he's going to go through the grades quite nicely. He's a horse what feels to me will definitely get a mile. I don't know if he'll get a mile this prep. It feels like he's definitely sharp enough for the 12-14, but he's definitely a horse what feels he will get a mile for sure.
I guess that's continued on a good association with the Stephen Marsh stable, and that looks to have picked up this season right where it left off last.
Yeah, look, Stephen's obviously one of my biggest supporters and love riding winners for him and having the success we do.
Speaking of riding winners, you're aboard a couple of pretty nice horses at the trials, and of course we can start with Well Written. She sort of speaks for herself in terms of her profile, but talk us through that Cambridge synthetic trial, and what was your feedback for Stephen post that?
Oh, look, I haven't ridden Well Written too much this prep, but I was wrapped with her first trial. She obviously she's been off the scene for quite a while, so it was a good pipe opener for her. For where she's at in her prep, I think she's going very well. I'm very happy. She felt great, and she had a nice blow. It's just going to tighten her up and just switch her on. She was a little bit complacent, but in a good way. Like, I just feel like the trial will really bring her on, and the day out would definitely help her. But she's obviously a very high quality filly or man now. But yeah, look, I'm very excited for how she's going.
Yeah, and I guess the next focus for her is Topor and the trials, and no doubt you're pretty excited to get aboard her then. You don't have a whole lot to do with her, do you, during sort of her training during the week, or do you keep in touch with Stephen about how things are progressing?
To be honest, I feel like Stephen's probably kept the keys away from me. I'd like to thank Courtney. She's done a lot of her work up to her trial, Courtney Barnes. But yeah, look, I'd like to hope that I can have a few sits on her. I did a lot of her work last prep, a lot of her like galloping work. So I'd like to hope that I can get back on her in a few of her works. But yeah, look, she's going very well.
Save that for when she's closer to a race day start. But from your perspective, I guess that transition from 3 to 4 can be difficult. A lot changes during that period. But is your impression that she's come back bigger and stronger?
Definitely so. It's obviously a big step from 3 to 4 and definitely into weight for age. But look, I think she's definitely got the quality. Like you said, she's definitely filled out and she's a lot stronger. So I'm excited and confident that she can take that next step.
And I guess most importantly, she's got that big heart and she wants to win, doesn't she? That takes you a long way. And goodness me, she just, every single start last prep, she knew where that winning post was, didn't she?
You're exactly right. She's got a very big heart. She tries very hard. And one thing is she wants to please you. So I think it's going to take her a long way as well.
Yeah, sure will. The other horse that you're aboard in a trial on Saturday at Te Rapa was Media World. And I guess for people in New Zealand, a horse we don't know a whole lot about. Obviously, he's got a mainly Australian profile, but he looks like a pretty impressive individual, the entire by Riccarton tycoon. Tell us about him and what you made of that trial on Saturday.
Yeah, he's a really nice stallion. I've found when he come over initially, I rode him in a few of his gallops and I said to Stephen, I said, I really like this horse. I think he's got really good ability. And obviously he's had a couple trials and he's trialled very well. I thought his trial at Te Rapa was great. He had just a nice, healthy blow. So feels to me he's going to improve even more off that. But he's going really well and he's going into the Foxbridge and I feel like he's going to be a really genuine chance. But like you said, he's a high-quality stallion and he's going to be racing in those big races.
You probably got a good gauge, better than most people in New Zealand, about what it takes, the Australian form versus the New Zealand form. Do you feel like the quality of races he's been running in Australia will set him up nicely for a race like the Foxbridge Plate?
Definitely so. I think he's a genuine black type horse in New Zealand. I feel like he's definitely got weight for age quality over here about him. But yeah, he's got good form in Australia. He's raced in Victoria and Sydney and raced very well. So I think he's definitely got the quality to bring it over here and win a big race.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I guess Prasia Plate first Group 1 of the season is fast approaching. Do I need to even ask you who you think is going to win? Well, Riccarton, surely.
Yeah, well, look, it's a horse I'm booked for, and I'm very excited to be partnering her. So, look, I feel like everything going well. She's definitely going to be hard to beat.
Matt, before we let you go, obviously you're leading the premiership at this very early point in the season. Would you have any designs on sort of tackling a premiership? Is that on your goals?
It's something to keep in the back of my mind. Obviously, I've started off in a really good way, so I'm going to be riding quite a lot, and I've been doing more ride. I'm going to be doing more riding this season than I have previous seasons. So it's something to keep in the back of the mind. I'm just not going to really think about it till the later part of the season if it's within reach. But yeah, look, it's something what I would like to do, but it's just something I've got to think about later in the season.
Well, best of luck with that. The Foxbridge Plate, the Prasia Plate, all of that to come. Looks like a pretty exciting season ahead for you, Matt. So a big thank you for your time today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome to catch up with Matt Cartwright, and a very good start to the season for him. We're going to get you to a break here on Winter Way, and on the back of that, we talk all things Horse of the Year. Don't go anywhere.
If I'm out of my mind, don't keep me in spaces.
Whitek for his third Group 1, and the Steamer Railway winner is a Livermore winner. Oh, what a win, Whitek! To the roar of the crowd, he's in front from here to shock. First 5, the try. Dual Group 1 winner, the Pride of Te Rapa. and needs the post. Belcheville's lunging. They had it. Oh, gee, that's very close. Well written. Go, girl. Legado's done it in her swan song. She's got a Group 1 at Ellerslie.
There's been some outstanding performances, hasn't there, throughout a great season of racing. That, of course, across 25 and 26. We promised you a familiar face on Winter Weigh-In this week, and we welcome in Jayne Ivil to the show. Jayne, great to be chatting with you. And I guess you're the perfect person to talk through the Horse of the Year awards and potentially who might be successful as Horse of the Year. You sort of bring an independent view. To start, what was your sort of highlight performance of the season?
Oh, look, Emily, I think there were a lot of highlights, and I think what the Horse of the Year awards do is they allow us the opportunity to be able to actually really reflect on what we saw right throughout sort of the last season in racing in New Zealand. And you could probably pinpoint a couple of moments that really stand out. Look, a couple of horses that stood out for me, and Well Written is the obvious of those. What she's been able to do as a 3-year-old is incredible. Unbeaten, picked up a Group 1 down south in the 1,000 Guineas, and then came out and won the 2 key races at Ellerslie with the Kiwi and the 3-year-old Million. So terrific training performance with her in terms of keeping her up right throughout the season at an absolute peak. So she's certainly a highlight. I hope he wins, taking out the Oaks. Look, I think she's a stayer of the future, and just her incredible stamina was on show in New Zealand. Outside of that, first 5 really stamped himself as a weight for age sprinter in New Zealand. And look, I think he's a gorgeous horse and probably still a little bit immature. And I think he could have a fantastic season this season too, even if the team are looking at stepping him out a little bit further than those sprint trips up to a mile as well. So lots and lots of highlights throughout the season. And I think some really nice horses that can continue to go on with it in New Zealand as well.
And I guess with those highlight performances comes a really interesting debate around who should be crowned Horse of the Year. And you mentioned Well Written, and I think if we were voting on popularity and a horse that attracted the most attention, well, she's the obvious one. But is that enough to get her over the line as Horse of the Year potentially?
Well, she had an outstanding season, didn't she, Emily? You only have to look at that unbeaten record. She's picked up a Group 1, which I think is pretty crucial when you're looking at a Horse of the Year award. I guess my query with her is that as a 3-year-old, you're only beating your own age group, and in her picking up her Group 1 win, she was only beating her own sex as well. So they would sort of be the black dots that I would put next to her name. But when you actually look at her international ratings and the way that she won her races and the way that they rated, she's certainly right there in contention. And she's a horse that I think everybody that's voting really needs to look hard at what she was able to achieve throughout the year. So I wouldn't be surprised if she won Horse of the Year. But then, aside, you know, if you look to the other side and you look at some of our weight for age gallopers and the way that they performed throughout the season, I think they need to be considered too. Whitehack's a really interesting horse because of the way he won his Group 1 races. He sort of sits across a couple of categories. So he's probably unlikely to win a category at the award ceremony, but his international ratings are higher than any other horse in terms of weight for age in New Zealand throughout the season. So he's a horse that comes into calculation as Horse of the Year, and as does First 5, as I mentioned. Dual Group 1 winner and probably dominated the sprint racing in New Zealand over the season.
Yeah, I was really keen on First 5, and I think that obviously a number of them won the 2 Group 1s, but he, of course, won that J-Swap sprint as well at a Group 3 level, which only adds to the depth of his season. Such an interesting debate. Even a horse like I Hope He Wins, we haven't really properly touched on, who is a dual Oaks winner, and we know how difficult that is to do.
Well, it is difficult to do, but I guess with the rules and the voting with the New Zealand Horse of the Year is that you actually can only concentrate on what she did in New Zealand because she was not trained by a New Zealand trainer when she won the Oaks in Australia. So I know it's really hard to do, but you just have to focus on what she was able to achieve in New Zealand, which was outstanding in her own right. But again, 3-year-old company and against her own sex. So, But yeah, as I said earlier on, I think she's a horse that you can probably follow with a lot of interest over in Australia this year, because I think she's a stayer with a really bright future.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. If you had the decision in Horse of the Year as to who wins, who would you give your deciding vote to?
Oh, Emily, I've been a bit of a fence sitter with this, because I actually genuinely think the Horse of the Year is going to be a really interesting voting category, and I'm intrigued to see what the numbers look like post-voting. For me, I would like to see the Horse of the Year go to an older horse, a weight-for-age galloper, a horse that's had to do it at that sort of, to take that next step and win at that type of level. So I guess for me, a horse like Waitak is one that stands out for me in the way that his wins rated throughout the year.
And what about, obviously you're across the Tasman now, so you've got a little bit of an eye on what's happening in terms of spring racing in Melbourne and Sydney. Have you got a horse that you're particularly excited about when it comes to some of those massive spring races that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of months?
I've got about 20, Emily. I think the spring over here is going to be really interesting for many reasons. I know they've spoken about the weight for age ranks here and that they're looking a little bit soft at the moment, but I genuinely think there's some 3-year-olds that can come out of their season last season and really step up this season. And look, the obvious one is She's an Alibi. I think she's incredibly exciting. Watching her go forward this campaign. Autumn Glow is the other one. So they're the very obvious. I really liked what we saw from Ninja at the weekend in the Missile Stakes. I think that's a horse that's going to make itself, take that next step this time round. Then you've got some of the 2-year-olds that will step into those 3-year-old races. And I think Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. have got a couple of really nice horses, obviously with the Slipper winner and Guest House, but also with Big Sky as well. He's only very lightly tried. But look, it's so exciting over here at the moment in terms of these horses coming through to the spring. There's a few with the NZ Suffolks that we've got to keep an eye on. Mr. Brightside, of course, he missed the autumn, so he's going to step back out in the spring. It'll be interesting to see how he goes as an older horse. Then you've got Cosmic Crusader, who I thought was exceptional in his first run back, and the Budgie Smuggler as well, who's going to go through a Cups campaign. So, look, it's all very interesting. It's all really exciting. Yellow Jersey's an international horse that's had the one run here up in Queensland that's on a Cox Plate path. You could just keep going on and on. What it means is really competitive, really exciting racing.
What it means for us is that we're going to need to be checking in with you a lot over the spring period to get all of the updates as to who you're liking. Jayne, great to see you. Awesome to chat as always, and thanks so much for your insight.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
A big thank you to Jayne Ivil for being part of our final show of the winter weigh-in season. Regular weigh-in, well, that'll be back following on from the Prasia Plate, so make sure you tune into that.
Two pretty big announcements across the weekend for two of our female riders. The first of those, of course, was Kylie Williams, who announced that she's going to be stepping away from the saddle. What an incredible career she's had, a wonderful rider, but awesome that she's going to be helping the next generation of riders, and what an asset she'll be. The other leading lady stepping down is Emily Farr, of course, jumps jockey, as we know, also incredibly successful, and we wish Emily the best of luck in her new career away from the track.
Stay with us here on Trackside, because if you're watching live, following on from this, we have the Gearan Report special across 2 evenings. If you don't catch it live, you can head to trackside.co.nz or the YouTube channel to catch up on all of the action. It's been a pleasure to have joined you over the past number of weeks as a part of Winter Weigh-In, but from us, it's a very good evening.